Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga. This is our fourth week in the month of March, where we've been focusing on finding length and a yin yoga style practice in our Thursday morning classes. So our poses are going to be held for a little bit longer with that yin style, focusing on really lengthening not only the muscle, but the connective tissue in between the muscle, the fascia, lengthening that out to really focus on flexibility. Of course, I have my yoga mat. I also have a couple of blocks today. If you've got some things that you can use to support your body, you might need those in today's class. I have a yoga strap. And then if you have pretty tight hamstrings, I also collected up a couple of hand towels from my bathroom. You might want to grab a couple really quick just for a little bit of support for the bottom of your knees. Not necessary, but if you're a person that's pretty tight in your hamstrings, these might be nice for you. I also have my blanket to sit up on and also to prop me up for some of my poses. So let's get started in a simple cross-leg pose, just a seated position. And we'll focus on the breath this morning. The breath is wonderful to use to facilitate our stretching today. So we'll just focus on what's called the sinking breath. We inhale maybe 3 or 4 counts in, and we exhale twice the duration of our inhale. So it's a really long exhalation. So sitting tall, lengthen through the crown of the head. You can close your eyes if you'd like, and start to pull the breath in through the nose, and let the belly just float away from the lower back as you breathe. And then a really slow exhalation through the nose as well. And you can find that ujjayi breath. So the ujjayi it's known as the whisper breath or the ocean breath. So if you imagine you had a mirror and you were going to fog the mirror with your breath, you'll make that sound in the back of your throat, but not opening your mouth, so your lips stay closed. So on the sinking breath, you can try that in the exhalation. That will help you slow this breath down. So we'll take a breath in, maybe 3 or 4 counts. Exhale twice as long. Hearing that whisper breath. A little constriction in the back of the throat. Let's do 2 more breaths. And 1 more. Breathe in. Fill it deep into the belly. Exhale slowly and completely. And blink your eyes open. Our main focus on our practice today is the hamstrings, lengthening the posterior chain. I also had some requests for mid-back. So we are going to twist to the right, bring the left hand across that right knee, rotate and look behind you, and take 3 of those sinking breaths. And when you breathe in, expand that area in your lungs right into the middle of the back. And feel that breath just stretching the muscles between the ribs, the intercostals. And your spine is really long and extended upwards. Maybe on the second and third exhalation, you can find a little bit more room in your spine to twist deeper. 1 more breath. And come back to center. Sitting tall again, we'll rotate to the left. So most of our twisting range of motion occurs in the mid-back. So our lower back's not really twisting much at all. We're finding that rotation in the thoracic spine. Come back to your sinking breath and really expand the rib cage as you breathe in. Breathing out, Ujjayi breath. And notice where the chest and the thoracic cavity expands to accommodate that deep breath in. One more sinking breath. And come back to center. Now to really lengthen through the mid-back, we can combine a side bend and a little bit of a rotation. So reaching the right fingertips down to the mat, lift the left arm up, side bend, a nice range of motion, pause, and then rotate and reach to the diagonal. Pause, open back out to your side bend, pause, and then pull your body up. Place the left fingertips down. Side bend, hold. Rotate, reach to the diagonal. Hold. Come back to your side bend. And come back up. Let's do it one more time each side. Side bend, open up through the ribs. Rotate, dynamic flexibility. Open back out. And come up. This feels so great through that mid-back. Side stretch, hold. Rotate, reach. Imagine someone's pulling your arm. Come back to that side bend, stretch, and come back up. All right, placing the soles of the feet together, we'll come into butterfly, Baddha Konasana. Now, if you're like me, my hips are pretty tight, so my knees are really floating way up off the floor. You might be closer or even touching the mat. So I just want you to come to a nice, comfortable position here. We can reach for the ankles, not the feet, and press down a little bit with those elbows. We'll keep the back pretty straight and hinge forward, holding our butterfly. So when we're holding a yin pose, we want to take it to what we call our edge, where we feel that stretch. We hold and breathe. You can also be supported in this pose if you'd like to take one of your blocks and set it right onto the inside of your feet, and maybe bring your elbows and support the forehead. Or you might be able to get your forehead to come down onto your block and just relax here. But that's not a necessity to support your head. I'd rather you be comfortable. We've got just under a minute remaining to hold this pose. Now there's a theory called reciprocal inhibition that says if we contract a muscle, the muscle on the opposing side of the joint has to relax to facilitate that contraction. So in this pose, I want you to tighten your glutes and try to push your knees down into the mat. When you do that and make that connection, the inner thighs relax, and you might be able to come a little bit further forward. Come back to that sinking breath. Exhaling twice the duration. of the inhale. And then bring yourself back up to neutral. So if you're doing this class later on YouTube, I want you to feel free to pause and hold these stretches as long as you would like. So coming here with your left leg, spin it back around behind you so you're sitting in a Z-sit position. You might need to prop up your right hip onto a block or a blanket to keep your hips a little bit more level, but they don't have to be completely level. We're trying to get that left sitting bone to come down to the ground. Now we might feel a little stretch here in the quad and a stretch in the hip. So we're going to take this and extend it over into modified swan, also known as modified pigeon. And again, we can support our head by maybe stacking our fists or setting a block underneath the forehead so we can relax in this pose. Now at home, if you'd like to move this into a full pigeon or a full swan, swan is the name in yin yoga and pigeon in more traditional yoga. You can take that left leg and send it all the way back behind you. So I'll leave that up to you today if you'd like to lengthen into that full pose. Now, as you're here and you're breathing, I really want you to stay fully present in each of these poses. So really be feeling where the stretch is happening for you. Taking it to your edge, holding in a comfortable position, and then allowing that breath to continue to flow. We're here 1 more minute. Now our yin poses can be held anywhere from 2 minutes on the low side up to 5-6 minutes, depending on the practice and depending on the pose and how supported we can get into that pose and how much we can relax. You want to make sure you're not feeling any pain in your knees, in your spine, any joints in your body. Just enjoying that nice stretch. Now maybe you can sink a little bit lower for the last few breaths, setting your props down a little bit more, bringing the forehead closer to the floor. One more breath. And as you exhale, start to lift the head, walk the hands back in towards you. And then set that right hand out to the mat. Take a nice breath in. Stretch open through your chest. And then we'll twist through the mid-back by reaching underneath and look behind you. Now maybe you can put your hand on the floor to give yourself a little bit of extra pull in this twist. The belly scooped in to support the lower back. You're looking way back behind you, taking some nice deep inhalations right into the middle of the rib cage. One more breath. And exhale, you'll come back out of the twist and reach up and rise up. Okay, extending your right leg straight. See if you can keep your left knee bent in this half hero. Now for me, I'm pretty tight here in my hips. So in order for me to get this pose, I'm going to support my other hip quite a bit up in the air, and then I can get myself to be a little bit more balanced. Here's where you can take that little towel and place it under the bottom of your foot. Now, if bending this knee into half hero does not feel good for you, your next option is to bring this leg out into half butterfly. So you can open this leg out, set it out to the side. Yoga strap, you might need that. We're going to place that under the bottom of your right foot. Good. Now, not every yin pose is accessible to everybody. So sitting like this, if you're feeling knee problems, any pain anywhere, bring that leg out to the side for your half butterfly and enjoy a more comfortable pose. So we're going to start with sitting nice and tall, pulling the toes back, and then we have 2 minutes folded forward. So you can use that strap and start to walk your hands out, pulling yourself down over that leg. If you don't need the yoga strap, you might be able to take your hands under the bottom of your foot. We're going to hold and breathe. Your hands can also go next to you on either side of the leg. Sometimes if you're using your arms to support you here, you can relax the back of the leg more. Now, going back to that idea of reciprocal inhibition, if we tighten this quadricep on the extended leg, the hamstring on the other side will relax. So what I want you to do is try to tighten this muscle here. And if you squeeze it tight, you'll see your kneecap kind of moves a little bit. So you can either contract and release, tighten and release, or tighten and try to hold it tight as you fold over. We have 1 minute. Back to that sinking breath. And really try to consciously relax the back of the leg or any other areas you're feeling that stretch and that tightness in the muscle. Be patient with yourself here in these yin poses. Take your time to come into that edge. We have 20 seconds left. All right, slowly start to walk yourself back out. Ooh, all right, this back leg comes out to the front, come back to butterfly, and just open those knees. I just want you to sit for just a couple of breaths and notice the difference that you feel from right to left side of your body. Take a couple full deep breaths in. So we've got that sequence on the opposite side. So this right leg's going to come around to your Z-sit. You might have to prop up the left hip to get yourself a little bit more balanced here. Nice long spine. Walk your hands forward and start to fold over that front leg into your modified swan, modified pigeon. So really common for us to feel significant differences from one side of our body to the other. And that could be because we've had an injury on one side or a surgery, or maybe just because as creatures of habit, we tend to do things all the same direction on certain sides of our body. So we have tighter muscles, tighter hamstrings, tighter glutes. Even one side of our lower back can be tighter than another. If you'd like to extend that right leg all the way back behind you, you can come into that full pigeon, full swan. Maybe support the head here on stacked fists or on your block. It's challenging sometimes to stay fully present in a pose that we have to hold a long period of time. It's easy for our brain to start to focus on something else, or our mind to wander. So keep reining it back in to the pose by focusing on your breath. Those long ujjayi exhalations. And just by focusing on where you're feeling the stretch. And maybe we can bring this down a little deeper for the remainder of our pose. And just check to make sure you're not gripping any muscles here or tensing any areas in your body at all. Try to relax your neck, your shoulders. If your arms are holding you up a little bit, that's okay to have that connection with those muscles, but try not to make it too intense. Softening the elbows, relaxing the wrists. And give yourself permission to come out of these poses sooner if you feel you need to today. All right, it's time to rise up out of this pose. So walk those hands in, press yourself up. Take the fingertips of the left hand out to the mat. Inhale, open. Exhale and twist and reach that hand behind you. You can anchor it to the floor. Keep rotating your head. Breathe into that mid-back region. Two more breaths, nice and deep, into the ribs. Long, slow exhalation as we come out of the twist. Reach up to finish and relax that arm down. Okay, coming into our half hero, we'll extend this leg out in front. So if you're really tippy to the side like I am, I'm going to bring that hip up a little bit more onto my block. And then option to tuck something underneath that extended knee if you need to support. Mine's up pretty high, so I'm going to try my block here. So I'm getting myself as even as I can. Remember, your option for this one, if this is not comfortable, is to open this leg out into your half butterfly. Okay, yoga strap perhaps under the bottom of the foot. Pull it back, lengthen your spine, and we have 2 minutes folding forward. So start to slowly take this down to your edge. If you don't need the strap, you can hold on to the bottom of the foot, or you can place your hands on either side of your leg to use the strength of your arms to slightly hold yourself up so you can relax the back of your leg. And now we find that reciprocal inhibition. So I want you to focus on the front of your left thigh and try to tighten this muscle. So you can look down at your leg and see if that muscle is engaging and squeezing, and maybe your kneecap moves back just a little bit. You can do a contract release or tighten, contract, and hold. We're here one more minute. Now there's a couple of rules of thumb in the question of whether we should have any curvature in our back or not. And some yogis say never, never. You should always have a straight back and come forward here with a neutral spine. Others believe that as long as this low back area is neutral, the upper back can curve forward. And this isn't a problem for your spine as long as it feels okay for you. So for me, I want to listen to my body, make sure I'm not feeling any pain. But when you think about it, we don't want to really exacerbate curving our spine that much because it brings us out of good posture. So whatever you think is best for your body today. All right, that's the finish of that final minute. So let's walk ourselves up and relax that stretch. Remove your props. Take that back leg, bring it back around. I want to do one more butterfly so that we can feel the difference from right to left side. You can even fold this over just a little bit for a couple of breaths. And then come up. So either coming into full hero or a toe squat for you today. So I want to give you two options. So if you did pretty good with bringing that leg behind you into half hero, we can try full hero. And for me to do it, I've got to get quite a bit to support my hips. So I can come up and sit on this if I have some cushion under my butt and I'm not bending my knees all the way down. So with this stretch, you might feel some stretch in your quadriceps. You might be able to feel more if you bring your hands back behind you. Some of you might even be able to lay all the way down onto your back in this pose and hold here. So this is one option. If you'd like to do toe squat, you're going to tuck your toes underneath and then sit back on that block or sit to your heels and you're stretching through the plantar fascia. I like both. So maybe try a minute of one and a minute of another. If you'd like to start with toe squat, then when you've kind of had enough, you can untuck your toes and finish in your hero pose. If neither one of these is okay for you, come forward and come into child's pose and stay there for our duration. So my goal is to remain here another just under a minute and a half. So once you get comfortable, come back to that sinking breath. And you need to really ask yourself, for you today, if you should be pushing beyond your boundaries. Know what those boundaries are. Our yin yoga poses are never that saying no pain, no gain, because we don't want to feel pain. But sometimes we do feel discomfort. The discomfort of a deep stretch. We have about 30 seconds to go holding. One more sinking breath. All right, if you have your toes tucked under for toe squat, we're going to bring those back down to flat. Walk your hands forward out in front of you to come off of your props. We are going to come into downward facing dog. So situate yourself long ways on your mat. Reach the fingertips way out in front of you. Tuck your toes under. Lift your hips up. Unfold your legs and start to pedal out your feet. So we're pushing into one heel and then into the other. So we are going to do a nice hold for each one of our calves on each side. And if holding this in down dog is not comfortable for you, for your wrists or for any reason whatsoever, you can come down to your knees and press into your calf this way, or you can actually stand all the way up and press one foot back behind you and stretch out your calf here. So I want you to decide which one you'd like to take. We're going to start with the right side stretching. So if you're in down dog, you're going to bend your left knee quite a bit and then push your right heel down into the mat. Same thing if you're standing up, into that standing calf stretch. And then if you're in down dog, you can take your left foot, your ankle, and cross it behind your right and give yourself a little bit more weight to press into that heel. Now, if you're in down dog, check your shoulders. Make sure you're not shrugging. Relax your head and neck. Brace your lower back with your abdominal muscles. And we will be taking a break for the wrists before we move into the other side. So if that's the case for you here and you're feeling tension in your wrists, we'll be coming down. Let's see, we've got, it's hard to see my clock upside down, 45 seconds. Now I also have my foot that I'm stretching completely in parallel. So you want to make sure you're not turning your toes out to the side, because then you might lose that stretch right down the back of the leg here. Same thing if you're standing up in your calf stretch. In that standing lunge, make sure your back foot is in parallel. And we have one more breath. And then we'll come out of our downward facing dog, bringing our knees down. Coming into Balasana, we'll take our hands back behind us, resting our forehead down to the mat. Relax your shoulders, and then you can flex your wrists a little bit by pulling your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And this will stretch your wrists in the opposite position from down dog. Okay, switching sides. If you're standing up in your lunge, just step back with your left foot. If you're on your knees, you're going to push your left foot behind you and press into your heel. Or we'll come up into down dog. Bend your right knee deeply and push down into that left heel with a nice parallel foot. Now, over a little bit more, we can take this right ankle, wrap it around behind the left, and press with a little bit of extra body weight. So if you're a person who's worn a shoe that has a bit of a heel in it for many, many years of your life, you could be really tight back here in this Achilles tendon, calf area. Even a 1-inch heel
We'll elevate our foot into plantar flexion and we'll lose some of the flexibility that we have in our calf. We want to get that left leg really straight. If it's bent, the stretch will feel a little bit different. It's going to come more into the soleus. It's not a bad thing, but straighten it out as best as you can here as we're holding. We have 1 minute to go on this side. If you need to come down sooner, you can try first just dropping down to your right knee, or you can take your child's pose earlier as well. Check in, make sure your shoulders aren't tense, your neck is relaxed. You can even move it side to side a little bit. Almost there, just one more deep breath. And exhale and cross that ankle. Drop those knees down and bring your arms back behind you to that child's pose. And flex your wrists. And we're going to be stretching the quadriceps deeply. So we'll walk the hands back out in front of you and then lower yourself down to your belly. Now, if you can grab a hold of your right ankle, you'll be good here to stay on your belly. If that's not very accessible for you, then I want you to roll over on your left side and take your ankle here. If that's still not accessible for you, you can take your yoga strap, make a little loop in it, place it around your foot so that you can use your yoga strap to pull you into this stretch. You can even from there bring it back over onto your belly and stretch here. So find the one that works best for you. We're going to be holding this stretch for 2 minutes. Finding a comfortable position. Now for this 2 minutes, you can remain very passive and just relaxed here down onto the mat. Or we can use that reciprocal inhibition again. And if you tighten this right glute muscle, squeeze it and try to push the front of your hip down to the mat. This is going to help to relax your hip flexor and relax that quadricep just a little bit. So you can do that again with a contract, relax, or contract and hold. If you want a little bit of a back bend, then you can come up with your upper body onto your elbow and hold here supported. So it'd be as if the elbow was in Sphinx pose and the heart is open. Let's see what we've got. We've got 1 minute left on this side. Now you're also, if you've got a hold of your ankle here, you're getting a little bit of a stretch for your shoulder on this right arm. And you can hold the outside of your ankle, or you can turn your hand and hold the inside of your ankle, which is going to rotate the shoulder open a little bit. So that's a nice one to try if that feels good for you to stretch the arm that way. All right, let's come back to that sinking breath. Just about 30 seconds to go on this side. All right, everyone, one more breath here. And then exhale to release that ankle. And then just lower your head down, making a pillow for your forehead. And just notice the difference between the right and left sides of your body. And then take your time to set up on the other side. So you might need to roll over on your right side to get hold of that ankle, or fashion a loop in your yoga strap to catch hold of it. So once you're there, make sure your knee and everything feels comfortable and okay. You can relax and hold this passively, or we can tighten that left glute just ever so slightly. Will allow that hip flexor to relax and for the stretch to deepen. We're here 2 minutes time. You can also add a little bit of a back bend by coming up onto the elbow. The elbow is just right about under the shoulder or slightly out in front of the shoulder. Left hand can hold either the outside or the inside of that left foot or ankle. And once you found that place that's just right for you, come back to your sinking breath. Now, if you're up onto your elbow, make sure the back of your neck is still long here, so you're not pinching the back of your neck and really looking forward. So just relax the neck, the shoulders. You can even move your head from side to side a little bit here. Just under 1 minute remaining. Just soften everything, really let go, surrender to the pose. And one more deep breath, inhale. Twice as long, exhale. Then let go that ankle, straightening the leg. Make a pillow for your forehead and just relax. Our next pose is turtle. And this is a wide leg seated forward fold. So bring the palms of your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up, and come to a seated position with your legs outstretched long onto your mat. So this is one where you might need your 2 individual hand towels, and maybe even your blanket to sit on as well. So I'm going to get the blanket under the sitting bones, and I'm going to place my 2 hand towels right underneath the bottoms of my knees. So with turtle, this is a big hamstring release. It's also a stretch for your lower back and your inner thighs. Your legs are as wide as you feel comfortable, so they don't have to be super wide. Enough to feel a little bit of a stretch, but not so much that you can't fold forward at all. So adjust yourself to come into that place, and then just see where you can bring your hands out in front of you. So this pose has a lot of levels. The final result of the pose is actually tucking your arms underneath this space under your knee and laying your belly forward. Ha ha, you might say. So there's always a starting place, right? But I know a couple of you that are with me live this morning can do this. So just to talk you through it, if you're pretty flexible and pretty bendy, you don't need these. You're going to lift your knees up and bend them quite a bit. Bring your belly through the space. Your right arm goes underneath this space. Your left arm goes underneath that one. And you fold over. Now, for me, I can kind of get there, but it's not going to be something I want to hold for that long. So, enough to demonstrate it for you, but I'm going to come back up and maybe take my block out in front of me and hinge forward here. So let's take 2 minutes together, wherever you are in turtle, and just relax and breathe. Now this is another pose where we can focus on that reciprocal inhibition. If we tighten our thighs right here, our hamstrings will relax a little bit. So see if you can squeeze those muscles. And what's nice if you have these towels under the bottom of your knees, the back of your knees, if you tighten these muscles, you can kind of push the back of your knees down into the towel, and you can find this connection with the muscles. And then you can either do that contract, relax, or hold the contraction as you breathe and fold. So if you are really tight in your hamstrings, your turtle may look more just like this and sitting up. That might be a big stretch for you, and that's okay. You can even sit up against a wall so that you can just relax here and hold whatever stretch you need for your body today. 1 more minute in turtle. Back to that sinking breath. Relax the hamstrings, relax the low back, mid back, the calf muscles, the hips. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you need to come out of the pose sooner. Feel free just to straighten yourself back up and finish out the pose. Let's take 2 more breaths together. And 1 more breath. Slow exhalation. Start to walk your hands back in toward you. Rise up. And then bringing the feet all the way together. Still using the towels underneath your knees if you need to. We'll come into caterpillar. So caterpillar is a closed leg forward fold. And caterpillar does have a little curve in your back. So what I want you to do is soften your knees, sit tall, nice and lengthened. You can use your yoga strap here for this as well. And then hinge forward from your hips as much as you can without rounding your back first. So find length there. And then you're going to curve your body forward, maybe placing a block on your shins to support your forehead. So let's take 2 minutes here in our caterpillar pose. And find the sinking breath, breathing into the back side of your ribs, right into that mid-back region. Now we've done a few stretches now this morning for our hamstrings. So hopefully they're feeling some release, some letting go, stretching of the connective tissue and of the fascia. If you feel the muscles shaking or quivering, that's a signal that your receptors in your muscles and tendons are firing. So you'll need to come up and take a break and then go back, not quite as deep into that stretch. We have about 45 seconds. And let's take one more breath in. Exhale, starting to lift the head, making your way up out of that pose. Come back to a comfortable seated position, maybe simple cross-legged. And we'll reach the right arm straight up. Bend that elbow and notice the stretch right here through your tricep. Take the left arm, take hold of that elbow and try to pull it back just a little bit gently. Then side stretch your body over and then slightly round your back forward into a twist. So we're getting this into that mid-back region. Keep side bending, but come out of the twist. And then pull yourself back up. Lower this right arm and bring it straight across your body. Now, if you bend this elbow, you won't feel as much of a stretch here. So try to straighten your arm as you pull it across. You can even make a little hook with your other elbow. Look to the right. And look to the center. Release that arm, relax it into your lap. Lift the left arm straight up. Bend your elbow. Give it a nice gentle pull. If that's accessible for you, and then side bend. Slight twist, rounding your torso down. Nice lat stretch, mid-back stretch. Abs are scooped in and drawn up towards the belly. Open back out from the twist. And pull yourself back up. Lower that arm and bring it straight across the front of the body. Maybe make a hook with the opposite elbow. Look to the left. Gentle neck stretch. And bring your head back to center. Relax the arm. Come back to a balanced seated position. Then inhale, come into a chest expansion, goalpost arms. So if you bring your arms up, you can be relaxed in your shoulders and shoulder girdle and just hold your arms here. But what I want you to do is pinch your shoulder blades together and try to pull the arms back. So this is reciprocal inhibition because we're squeezing the muscles of the upper back, trying to pull the arms back towards each other. And this is releasing the muscles in the pecs. And as we hold this, just tilt your head to the right. So you're bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder. Come up to center. Bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. Keep pulling the elbows back behind you, opening up the chest. And come back to center. As you close your arms together, cross your right wrist on top of your left, and then turn your palms towards each other and grab and interlace your fingers. Push your knuckles towards the computer screen. So you're opening up your upper back and drop your chin down to your chest. Now separate your shoulder blades, maybe even C-curving your back a little bit more. Round everything open through that mid-back. Inhale, come back up. Separate the hands, take a breath in. And then exhale, the left wrist crosses on top of the right. Turn your palms to each other and interlace your fingers. Push your knuckles forward to open up your shoulder blades, drop your chin. Then pull your belly in and round your back. Try to separate every vertebrae in your spine. Couple deep breaths into the mid-back. And rise back up, release the clasp of the hands. Inhale, open back out. Bring both arms up above the head, interlace your fingers with the exception of your pointer finger, wrapping your thumbs around each other. Pull your arms back towards your ears as much as you can. Lengthen, lengthen. One more side bend to the right. And back up. One more to the left. And back up. And bring this right down to the heart center. Closing your eyes, take a couple more breaths, just check in, noticing how you're feeling after our practice this morning. And as always, it is my sincere honor and pleasure to lead you through your practice today. And the light and love, peace and joy that resides within me honors the light, love, peace, and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with me throughout the month of March. If you missed any of the yin classes, they're all on YouTube, so go back and check them out. I'll shut off our recording. If anybody can stay and say hello, I'd love to see how you feel today. If not, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.